Right. And let's start with a little intro here. Countdown. All right, we are live. Thank you, everyone, for being here with me this evening. This is Ignite That Light, Season 2, Episode 3. We are talking to TJ Wimbs about pursuing dreams and taking risks. TJ, thank you so much for being here with me tonight, and thank you for your time tonight as part of the podcast.
Absolutely pleasure to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me,
Yeah.
brother.
Of course, TJ. Yeah, no, I want to remind people, folks who maybe haven't heard this. Also, we used to do this every week. Now it's monthly, but the mission behind this podcast really is to motivate, inspire, and connect with other people, and to really demonstrate to folks that there are people out there who have really inspiring stories, who you may not even realize, but who you may interact with on the timeline on X or on other social media platforms, and you just it's really worth kind of connecting and learning from these experiences. And again, today we're going to be talking about pursuing dreams and taking risks. And TJ, before we really dive in, I want you to kind of give us, if you don't mind, like an elevator pitch, a little bit about your background. And we don't have to go all the way down there, but like just kind of like if you had to introduce yourself to somebody, say at like a cocktail party, how would you introduce yourself?
At a cocktail party, well, it
Yeah.
depends on how drunk everyone was. And then I say I'm an actor. But
You're
no,
an actor.
I was a military brat. My father was in the military. I ended up following in his footsteps. Traveled the world, luckily on the government's dime. So I got to learn a few things out there. And now I'm an actor, a stuntman. I've been a professional wrestler. I did the MMA thing. Well, I tried to do the MMA thing. I did MMA coaching. I did all kinds of different I want to try this, so I did it. I want to try this, so I did it. I want to try this, so I did it. And now I'm trying to be an actor and a stuntman, and so that's what I'm doing now.
It's fantastic, TJ. That your story is really inspiring, and I appreciate your time. I think the thing is, yeah, I think actor is probably a really succinct way to put it. It doesn't really cover everything about you, and I mean, we'll dive into that shortly. But first off, you've mentioned in the past, kind of going like chronologically here, that you are from California, but you really claim Maryland as kind of like where you're from. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Well, I was born in California, up in Willows, which is way up there by Reading,
Oh
and
yeah.
we moved to Germany when I was 11 months old.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to claim that you're a California kid when you really haven't lived there.
Yeah, that's
But when
true.
I got to Germany the second time, because I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid, I told everybody that I was from California. I grew up there, lived on the beach, and all that stuff.
They love the accent, right?
Yeah.
That's it. No, that's cool. That's cool. So you went to school though in Maryland, and
Yeah.
yeah, and you grew up all over. Really, you said yeah, like military. You're a military brat,
Yeah.
so
So
you got to go
I
all
moved to
over.
Maryland. I think it was in '86 is when we moved to Maryland, and then I graduated high school there, and then did one semester of college.
Awesome. And then from there, it sounds like you had a brief, also call it a brief stint in the military. Is that what happened shortly after then, or how
Yeah.
did that
Well,
come about?
I tried to do things on my own for
Yeah,
2 years, and I kept, it was failure after failure. But I was learning. And then
absolutely.
you don't really learn until you really crash. And so I did what my grandfather, my dad always said. If times get tough, just go in the military, go in for 4 years. You can learn something, and they'll feed you, and you'll get out and you can have a career in something, or you can stay in. And so
Absolutely.
I was like, you know what, I'm going for it. I'm going to go see the recruiter and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. And can you tell us like what your job was when you enlisted? Is that
Oh,
something
so
you
yeah,
want to
so
dive
I ended up being a crew chief, which is an aircraft mechanic. But
into?
crew
Okay.
chief is just a really cool name to say, aircraft mechanic.
Sounds cool, right?
Worked on 3 different airframes, U-2s, Global Hawks, and A-10s.
Wow.
I finished my career out at Nellis Air Force Base. My last few years working A-10s.
That's so cool. Yeah, no, Nellis, that's over in Vegas, right? That's awesome. I'm jealous. I don't know if I'd mentioned this to you before. When I got in, when I went to the Air Force, I had two options where I had the choice of, if I didn't really pass the language test for linguist,
Right.
my option was that, or I had to have a backup one, and it was Loadmaster, which
Oh,
nobody knows what that is. Nobody knows what that is. You know what that is, TJ.
yeah. I had a side gig with that. Anytime that we had to do any kind of exercise, I had to go to Loadmaster school, this
Yeah,
little short version, because I could load up anything, any cargo aircraft. I was certified, and
that's
I
so
can
cool.
drive everything up to a 30K. So
Wow.
could load anything, bro. I love that. That was so
So
much.
you get it. You get
Yeah,
it.
it was
But yeah, no, I'll just explain to the folks who don't know what that is. But that's basically like the recruiter said it's more or less like the weights and measures guy, but don't worry about that. You're just going to get in really well with the pilots, and you'll get to go wherever you want. So either way, you can't lose. You're going to become best friends with the pilots, and you'll go wherever they go. And I'm like, why does this sound too good to be true? And see, you get it. Like he might have been misleading me a little bit. I don't know
a
if the
little
loadmaster was like a little bit. He might not, they're probably not besties with the pilots, but hey, I mean, at the time, that's what they
That's
claimed.
how they
So
sell it.
that's how they sell it. So, but that's awesome. It's not about me. It's about you. I think it's cool. Crew chiefs are sort of I would call them like the unsung heroes in a sense, because like, their name kind of, I'll just say, it doesn't really explain what they do, right? It's
When you
sort of,
get your name on the jet, that's when the job really, really sinks in.
yeah,
Because now that jet has to come home every day.
there you go,
Your name's not just in the forms. Your name is on that jet. That jet
on the jet.
belongs to you. DCC, ACC. First time I
Yeah.
saw my name on a plane, man, I almost cried, bro. I was like,
Oh
waiting
man,
for that moment to say that's mine. I
that's so
have
cool.
two different jets, so I was very happy about that.
Yeah, and you really, you're with your name on there, right, TJ? It's sort of
It's
yeah,
badass.
yeah, it's badass, and you can't really. I'm sure the first time you saw that was like just brought a tear to your eye. I bet.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
That's so
I
cool.
had a frame picture of it and all kinds of stuff for there. Yeah, very
That's
excited.
awesome. That's awesome. And so you said you initially enlisted for 4 years. Can you kind of describe like what happened after those 4 years?
So
Where
the
did you?
original plan was that me and my twin cousin Bill I was gonna go into the
Yeah,
Air Force, and he's going into the Army. Well, he was already going to the Army. I said, "Well, look, I'm going to the Air Force, so you want to do it for 4? I'll do it for 4. We'll get out together and we'll play college football.
that sounds so
We'll,
cool, doesn't it?
we'll just be badass cousins that play college football together." I stayed in. He got out and became an ICE agent.
Oh, that's cool, right? But you stayed in. You stayed in after the four
And
year
I
enlistment.
played 2 years of college football while
Ooh,
in the Air Force.
that's so cool. That's so cool. So you stayed in, and you ended up. I don't want to totally go around this, but we'll just say that you did a full 20. And what I'll just ask you this: what inspired you um, to stick around for the full 10 year? Like, what
Well,
was it kind of that motivated you to kind of go beyond the four?
I was working. Well, at the first 4 was so easy. It was just like bam,
Hmm.
4 were done. And I'm like, ah, this is such an easy thing. I love doing it.
Yeah,
Apparently, I didn't know that I like to fix airplanes, but when I got in, all of a sudden I was really good at it. So hey, let's stick with it. It's a lot of
m-
fun, and the
might as
jet's
well.
free. And you get to travel all over the place. So I was like, I'll just keep doing this. But when I hit my 10-year mark, and I had been on the phase dock for a few years, I got a senior math sergeant that really did not like me, and I really did not like him. And I was coming up on my reenlistment, and at 10,
Hmm.
I was like, you know what? I think this is time to get out and go to college. And we had this amazing captain. This guy was so cool. He was prior enlisted. He was a staff sergeant at one time,
Yeah.
and he saw that I was just not happy. I was fed up. He pulled me aside and was like, TJ, what can I do for you? Because the Air Force needs you. What can we do to keep you in? And I said, get me a new job. And when they got me the Global Hawk, which is the same job basically, but to a different airframe, which means I didn't have to deal with that person anymore at all. Not even
Yeah.
and I was like, I'll take it. And I reenlisted.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 weeks later. As
Wow.
soon as he got me
Wow.
that job, I reenlisted.
You just moved over to a different airframe, and just the whole entire your day to day just completely changed to
Everything was
something.
better.
Yeah.
And then I got in the schoolhouse, and then life was amazing.
Oh yeah. So you got to do some training, some teaching. That's right.
I got to teach for 2 years. Yeah.
That's awesome. Was it ALS, or where did you teach?
No, I was an instructor for maintenance. I taught engine
That's so
run
cool.
and borescope for both the U2s and the Global Hawk.
Wow. Wow. So not only did you do the job, but you got to teach how to do the job,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so
Then I became the certifying official and then the SME, which I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
There you go. There you go, man. There you go. I mean, that's a very fulfilling thing what you just described, right? Not only did you do the work, but then you could speak from that experience and help teach future leaders about that, right? I think that's right. I think that's what you're describing.
Well,
Correct me if I'm
they
wrong.
even sent me to Australia with a group, and I was there to speak to the Australian Air Force about why they needed global hawks for their coastal observations,
Yeah, yeah.
keep an
No,
eye on whalers and all that stuff. So I had to go in there and brief the Australian Air Force
that's so cool, man.
as a tech
Now,
sergeant.
as a tech sergeant, yeah, you got to speak as a leader. I mean, that's yeah, going to we said Adelaide, right? And
Right, Adelaide.
yeah, yeah, we got to talk about that too. We'll go into your accents in a minute because, like, well, I'll just say this, so you retired after the 20 years, and again, congratulations and thank you for your service. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you for your sir.
Oh, likewise, yeah, thank you. The thing is, you got out and then you've pursued so many different things, and this is kind of what I wanted to dive into a little bit, right? Is because not only was the military kind of like a huge part of your career, and I think you obviously you took a risk by going on, not only just going in, but also I think staying with it because there was really no guarantee that it was going to actually play out the way it did right across the full 20. Like, even at that 10-year mark where you had that chance to say, you know what, forget it, I'm not going to even ask. Yeah, I'm not even ask for a change. I'm just going to get out of here and test the waters outside of here. You took that risk. You stuck around for another 10, did the full 20, you retired. Again, that's a huge deal. And then afterward, I'm sure that it felt like, okay, now what, right? Yeah, you have the 20 years. You can safely say that you've checked that box and you've done something with your life, but there's still so much of it left, right? Like, how did you decide kind of where to go after retirement from the
Well,
military?
originally, when I first went to college, I was going to be a school teacher. And I was like, because I always figured I would be a football coach or a coach of some kind. And since I had already got my ISSA master's certificates to train as a trainer while I was in the Air Force, use my it wasn't my GI Bill, it was the tuition assistance.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was already training people at a very high level before I got out of the military.
Okay.
And my last 2 years while I was at Nellis, I was the judo and strength and conditioning coach at the original Tap Out.
The original Tap Out.
Yes,
Yeah.
I got to train with some of the absolute greatest fighters ever, and I got to get in there and bang with some of the greatest fighters ever. I worked underneath Sean Tompkins and Kevin Randleman.
I know who those two are. Yeah.
Both of those great gentlemen. Unfortunately, they were taken at their prime.
Unfortunately.
But I was under their tutelage, so I got to learn a lot, and I got to train with a lot of great fighters. But I was one of those guys, even though I was, over 40. If on Saturdays it's spar time, or if the fight team was fighting and I'm getting in there, they need extra body. Or the best was when the Ultimate Fighter was going on, because
oh yeah,
while all the guys were waiting to get on the Ultimate Fighter, all the gyms had to house all these fighters. So I would get to bang with so many guys that were on the show. It was crazy, man. It was so much fun. And then I would go to work on the flight line because I worked mid shift. So I get out of Tap Out, go home, take a shower, go to mids. Usually work from midnight from about 9 to 10 until 9 or 10 in the morning.
That's right.
And I would come in, black eye, fresh, swollen lip, nose on the side of my face or something. And all my airmen would be so excited. Who'd you fight today, Sarge? Who punched you? Who'd you kick? What happened? Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's so cool. You got like Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner, right? You got to kind of meet
Forrest is funny, man. Forrest is awesome. He is, and Bonner is fun too.
Yeah. Forrest seems hilarious on the show. I'll tell you how much I love that show.
In real life, though, he's a clown in the gym, man. He will brag if he knows something about you, he'll brag on you about it. It's hilarious. He got me.
Yeah. Did he? Yeah. So those guys. Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because I was a huge fan back around, we'll say like 2000 and we'll say 5 to 10, right? Like when it was really kind of taking off, that show. And so I think I know kind of that timeline of what you're talking about. It was a huge deal, that first season of it, especially. I remember when that show was coming out.
It was the perfect fight. They needed
Bonner and Griffin
to happen, and the show just went
through the roof. Yeah. You couldn't have scripted it any better. I'll just say that much. I remember actually calling somebody and saying, you need to turn it on to Spike TV right now. You need to watch what's going on. This is unreal, when it was happening live. But yeah, I think that's so cool. I'm kind of jealous, to be honest, what you're describing. So yeah, I mean, and if anyone, I'll just say this to anyone who's listening or watching, if you haven't had a chance to just go spar in a gym like this, what TJ's talking about, I've been fortunate enough to be able to do something like this, and it's an exhilarating adrenaline rush if you just get a chance to grapple and spar with somebody and kind of spend just the 5 minutes, and then then like somebody will blow a whistle, or there'll be like a loud noise tell you to stop, and then you take a breath for like 90 seconds, then you go at it again, and the next when you're done, you might have like rashes and scar, like you might have like some like bruises on your face, or like what you said, like your nose might be in a different place, but the feeling after you're done, it's like this amazing
It's the best.
it's
It's the
yeah, it's
best.
an amazing feeling. If you haven't done it, if you haven't tried going for this, I'm
Like
telling
they
you, like
said in the movie Fight Club, after fighting, everything else in your life was just.
that's it. That's exactly it. Everything else is just like, hey, what else? What else?
What can't
Not
you handle after that?
exactly. You spend 5-10 minutes doing that, and I'm telling you,
You know,
like,
you just get punched in the face by Frank Mir and you didn't die. Come on, you should be
yeah,
proud of yourself.
you got hit and you survived that punch. Yeah, I mean, and if you haven't seen sports science and know how powerful like those punches are, man, like you
Hmm.
just those that's devastating. So I applaud you for being willing to kind of take a few of those punches, because again, it's not something to laugh at. But yeah, no, you did this. You had such a, like, again, a fun time. You did have something kind of, I guess you said, like, going on after mid shift, so you're still like in the Air Force
But I was
station
already working at Tap Out, yeah. So I already
and
had,
working at Tap Out.
boom, I got my next career. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to
Yeah,
stay in this martial arts thing. I'm going to be a judo coach, strength and conditioning. This is going to be my life.
that's so cool. And so you're actually a judoka, right? I heard that you're
Yeah,
like, you have like the full.
yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah.
And then you did that. You got that. You had that lined up. That isn't the only thing you've done though, TJ. Like my research indicates that you've done a little more than that. Like you didn't end it at Tap Out, because I'm sure like you were, again, this is going to be a theme here for the rest of this conversation for the next 30 minutes or so at least. It's
Well, we did.
you
I
were
mean, we did
not
that.
satisfied.
Then it turned into the House of Rue. So I stayed there for a while. And then I started running Ragnar's, and I started running marathon, and
Oh
then
yeah. Oh yeah. So you've done
I started
marathons.
coaching,
What
coaching.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
haven't you done, right? I mean, but so you did you did marathons, you said, um, and we'll dive into this here. It sounds like around what 20. Well, I'm just gonna go on a timeline here. I could be off a little bit, but what 2014, 2015, we'll say, kind of with maybe a decade ago, you dipped your toe in the professional wrestling waters. Could you talk about that too?
Oh
Like
no,
kind
no,
of,
my professional wrestling was way before
was it
that.
before
I
that?
was professional wrestling, yeah, way earlier than that.
Okay,
And now later on, I had like every once in a while somebody would be like, "Hey TJ, can you come and be an announcer or something like?"
okay.
But my professional wrestling days were before I got to Las Vegas. They were
Oh,
at
was it?
still at Beale Air Force Base.
Okay, Beal. So you're in California at the time. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's before you got stationed.
That's
Now
when I
that's
started
cool.
professional wrestling. That was even before I did college football.
That's cool. So that was in your early days then.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so cool.
I was trying to be my. Actually, it's funny because my goal was to weigh 305 pounds at 6 foot tall. And I'm a tiny guy. I have tiny wrists, tiny ankles. Like I was eating 7 to 10,000 calories a day and
Oh my
lifting everything I could to get to 265, and I could never get past it. That was as heavy as I could get.
265.
265, man.
Wow. No, that's
I still passed the PT test, and all that.
oh yeah. And let me tell you, like, people might rag on the Air Force PT test, but let me tell you, like, I've taken it, you've taken it. It's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, to be able to do that at 265 pounds
Yeah, the run,
and
yeah,
pass it,
a mile and a half at 265 pounds, and not just trying to pass it, but you still want to get those scores because they started
you
adding
do.
those to your tests.
Yeah, they kind of like rank you based on the score, right? Like a certain kind of like level of
And
rank.
if you get over a 90, you get the day off. So I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's so cool though. It's what you tried for 300, 305, you got 265, close enough.
As big as I could get, man.
That's so
I
cool.
just not a big guy. I just couldn't do it.
I mean, at least you tried, man. So I don't want to go. I don't want to jump too far
Now,
all over the place.
when I was a little kid, I thought professional wrestling was like the greatest thing in the world. My mom started taking me to pro wrestling matches when I was like 5 years old, in like 1978, when we were in Lawton, Oklahoma. So I was a huge fan. And then when I finally got the opportunity later on in life, I think I was in my early 30s, and there's this PCW Pro Championship Wrestling that's starting off at just a little high school club thing that they made, which turned into a pretty big organization out there in Northern California, along with SPW. And I wrestled for both of them for 4 years. And it was just a dream come true, a childhood dream to get the opportunity. And once I got it, I went hardcore for 4 years. And
Yeah.
it so much fun. So much fun.
That's so cool that you, again, and this is, and just for people, I want to pause for a second and remind people that what you're talking about is, TJ, you again, this is a dream. You said this is a dream. We're kind of tying it back to the theme here. that was a dream of yours to kind of to jump into that world. You did this while also being
Active duty.
but active duty. Like
Yeah.
you had
Also,
a day job too on top of this, right?
yeah.
Like it wasn't like as if
Always had an extra. See, I have really bad insomnia.
okay.
So I've always thought to myself, if I can't sleep, I should work. So I usually would, if I wasn't playing college football, then I was, because I had college classes, so that took up a lot of time.
Yeah.
But otherwise, when I was just playing, just doing pro wrestling, I was also bouncing at 2 different clubs. I was working at GNC. I was doing personal training on the side and everything
Wow.
stuff all at the same time because I think the best thing to do when you don't sleep is to work. So
Yeah, no, I think that's no, I mean, there are worse things, right? I mean, you actually pushing yourself and like doing these extra, I'll call them extracurricular activities. It's still like these were healthy ways to kind of these outlets that you had, right? And
yeah.
I'm gonna show a comment here from our good friend here, Mind Runner, friend of the pod, friend of the show. What do you recommend for regular folks to take up, judo or jujitsu?
Well, it depends. Because technically, they're 2 different sports. Technically, one is more stand up, the judo, because it's about takedowns and control. But once it gets to the ground, jujitsu usually takes over. Now the rules differ once you get on the ground, but jujitsu is a phenomenal. I think everybody on the planet should train jujitsu because it can teach you how to defend yourself in the most vulnerable positions, and to use your opponent, not just your opponent, but your opponent's clothing to injure them and to take them out. It's fantastic. I think everyone should learn jujitsu. Like over in the UAE, it's mandatory in the schools. So like we have, softball, you have to play basketball or whatever, right? In gym class, they have to learn jujitsu over there. It's in the school curriculum. That's brilliant. Everybody should learn how to defend themselves. Jiu-jitsu is phenomenal because you're still going to learn takedowns in jiu-jitsu, so.
Yeah, that's spot on. No, it's great. It's great advice, TJ. I again recommend that for everyone. I second what you just said. The if you really need further proof that jujitsu works, take a look at some of the early Hoist Gracie fights from the earliest UFC events where he's going against these 300, 400-pound men and using gis against them. Like if you've see these people grappling their gi versus no gi. The
Oh,
gi
yeah.
is really being able to use those effectively against an opponent. It's a beautiful technique. If you haven't seen anyone do this, I encourage you again. Some of these competitions. I don't want to call them fights because I feel like there's more technique and strategy in UFC or like in some of these events than just a typical fist fight. It's not a fist fight. These are actually skilled technicians at their craft. And again, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think it's a phenomenal um, sport and it's something that I think, yeah, I mean, it helps you defend yourself. Absolutely. If you need proof, take a look at some of those events. Our friend Stephanie says, what a timely topic. And I think for others as well. Yeah, this is a great topic. And I encourage, again, we're going to keep this ball rolling. And I think TJ, yeah, so you've, again, going back to this idea that you've, again, never really stopped moving. I think you're like this continuing kind
I'm
of
actually
revolving.
afraid to stop moving, honestly. Yeah, I am. I have to keep
Keep
doing.
moving. That's great. That's great. I think you're inspiring people. I think that's kind of the point, right? Like to me, you're inspiring me as we're talking because it's like I think I do plenty of work during the day, and then when I hear you describe this, I'm like, maybe I need to do more. Like maybe I'm lazy, but that's just based on this conversation.
No, no, I'm 51 now. I'm slowing down.
There you go. Slow down a little bit, right? You slowing down is like a really hectic
Hey, I
Tuesday for
only
me.
worked 6. I only did 2 13-hour, filming sessions this weekend. So I'm slowing it down.
You're good. Just slowing it down. Only two. No, yeah, and we're gonna get into that. Actually, I think it's a good kind of pivot going in. Like you've also like once you got out of the military, you retired. Again, you did these extra things. You did the tap out thing. You did the marathon running. You did the Ragnars. You've done all these extra things, and then you decided to kind of like when did you decide to get into the world of acting and kind of getting into that
Well,
realm?
I was just coming off of winning my first big powerlifting meet, and I don't know, I was a big dude. I was swole. I had this giant beard and this long hair, and I looked like this giant caveman. And honestly, I was loving it. I was just eating, lifting, and being hairy, and it was fantastic. And then I met a gorgeous, gorgeous woman who kissed the frog and Right? So no, I was blown away that she even wanted to go out with me. But we were dating for quite some time, and then one day I just decided to shave my beard and cut all my hair off. And she had only seen me in pictures without the whole man bear pig thing going on. And yeah, she was kind of blown away. And it was funny because later on that night, she said to me, "Have you ever thought about getting into movies?" And not my wheelhouse because they have to memorize lines and stuff like that. And not my strong point, right? So the universe being crazy as it is, 3 weeks later, I get a DM in my Facebook from a girl whose sister I dated when I was in 7th grade. Her sister was in 9th grade. She was in 5th grade. She moves to Las Vegas. She's an actress. She says, TJ, we're shooting a fan film about Wolverine. I know you did martial arts when you were a kid, and I've followed your through the thing. I know you had to know all that crazy stuff. Would you be in my film and do a fight scene? And I was like, you know what? Sure. Why not? I know how to choreograph stuff. I did pro wrestling. I've done martial arts, so I can make things look, decent.
Yeah, yeah.
And and it's funny because the audition, they give me sides, and sides are basically your lines for that, for whatever the scene is. And I'm like, nah, I'm here for the fight scene. I think you got the wrong guy.
That's it.
Here
Yeah.
to beat somebody up and call it a day. They're like, well, no, your character has to initiate the fight with Wolverine, otherwise, it's it's a talkie, my friend. And so they got me through that audition, which was the roughest audition I've ever had in my life. But once we shot, the first day I filmed, I just looked up and said, "This is what I'm doing the rest of my life. It's a wrap. As this is it. I found my calling.
Wow.
Everything that I've tried and put my heart into, I found it finally." Yeah.
Wow. It led you all the way to acting. That's fantastic.
Yep.
I'll say this, I was able to watch a few of the clips, some of the promotional segments, some of the things that you've put together on YouTube, and some of this. And the first, I think, clip that I watched had, I think, it sounded like a British accent, and I was like, wait a minute, is TJ British? Like, or is he maybe I have the wrong person. Like, maybe I'm not. Maybe this isn't him. It looks like him on the profile. I'm like, how did this come about? So, like, can you at least confirm that you've actually done these accents in the past? I want to make sure I got the right person.
Yeah. So the how this came about was because I lived in Australia. I picked up the language a little. The accent. I've always been good at that since I was a kid. Like if I fly back to Maryland right now, within 3 hours, you're gonna think that I've been living there my whole life.
Yeah, yeah.
If I go to Boston, if I go to New York, whatever, it's going to happen. My brain does this weird thing with voices. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been able to do different voices and stuff like that. So my brain just does this weird thing. And so I was working for Night Studios, and they originally wrote the character for a British character. And I was like, look, I can do British accents, but my British accent goes everywhere. I can't keep it solid. One word can trigger it to go from, a Southie to, a pikey. It's
Yeah,
all over the
yeah.
place. But I can do it, but I just can't stick with it. And if anybody else does a British accent around me, I go with that accent. I can't keep my own accent. So I asked them, I said, hey, is it cool if I read it with a slight Australian accent? And they were like, well, go for it. And so I read the first line. They were like, he's Australian now. I'm like, there we go.
You converted them on the spot with your accent. That's so cool.
During the table read.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you've done these accented characters. You've had a bunch of different roles. Like you said, you had the Wolverine kind of short, right? That you did as well.
A lot of fun.
Fantastic. And you've been in a few. It sounds like some music videos as well.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's phenomenal. Even 5.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I saw the Roddy Ricch one, the Demi Lovato one. What other ones have you been in? Just
so there's one with Usher,
cool.
Marshmello, this Italian director, singer who I remember his name. It starts with a Z. And then I did a local one for a small group in Las Vegas.
That's so
cool.
cool.
Played a bad cop.
And yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's the kind of what they're almost like. I don't want to use this like in a derogatory way, but like it's almost like a typecasted role.
I was a cop or a bodyguard all the way through all videos.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like you're consistent, like you're like the SWAT. You're like the SWAT team guy, or you're the bodyguard.
My first year as an actor, I was either a drug dealer, a biker, or a drug dealing biker. I couldn't get a dad role. I couldn't get the cool uncle. I couldn't get
any of those.
Anything but military or biker druggie. Okay, I'll take it.
I guess that's the role they're giving out these days. Like, but that's yeah. I think it's again that sort of happens, right? I don't want to speak for the world of acting, but I'll say that I've dipped my toe in that world as well. And there's a certain kind of, like you said, like a certain kind of role that you sort of see people kind of given more often than not
Gonna
based on
give it
either
more.
their
It's
look
gonna be more
or
authentic. It's more
yeah,
authentic.
exactly. And you can
There's
actually
no,
speak to the military with or you can speak to like a an enforcer kind of role who actually understands how to do close quarters combat. Like you can actually do that. Like you've done that sort of thing. So, or at least you have the skill, right, to do it. So,
well, and it's great because the fight scene that I just choreographed and taught for the movie we just shot is in an elevator. Five guys.
oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I know that you've mentioned that that
Can't
scene
wait
was
to
it from
put some of
yeah,
that out there on YouTube for everyone and
you
on X.
make sure you share that link with me as well, TJ. I'll post it as well. And I think we need to see this because I mean, when you get that clip, I got to see the scene.
It's gonna
Um,
be so cool.
I mean, like,
I've seen all the clips, but my favorite one is we had a GoPro on the ceiling of the elevator, and while we're going up, and the director's like, okay, we're just gonna get some shots like that. So I call it off. We go the first time, we go at 50%. Second time I call it, we go at 75%. We get to the top floor. I'm like, all right, guys, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna do this scene at 100%. That's how much I trust these guys. And we went. And as soon as the elevator doors closed, I said one, and we went. And the cam footage,
yeah,
it looks absolutely incredible. Like you could post it on there in black and white and go and say that like a CIA hit, and people would probably be clicking on like a million hits. I like
it's
no
real. It's a real
shit.
hit. Yeah.
That's how I got the cut up on the forehead, and I got a cut on my nose from that one last go because we went for it.
You went 100%. You went all in. I love
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually we do that. Usually depends on how many frames per second you're doing, or is the speed that you're going to go.
Yeah.
Because then you can speed it up without it making it look like fast motion, and that way nobody gets hurt. Because the last thing you want to do, you rehearse, you get on set, you rehearse, you
Yeah.
shoot it, and you shoot each little part of the fight because you got to break it up in case they want to do inserts of specific parts,
For sure.
and then you shoot the master a couple of times, and then you got to shoot the over the head master 3 times, and it's just you stay as safe as you can, and you go as hard as you can without getting anyone hurt. That's why you rehearse.
Wow.
You never rehearse enough when you're doing stunts.
That's right. That's right. They say the separation is in the preparation, TJ. So that's what it is. You're making sure that you do it right. You prepare, you get it ready, you practice, rehearse, you get it all
Because
done.
just like when I was in professional wrestling, that other person's life is in my hands.
Absolutely.
If I do something wrong, I could permanently hurt someone and damage them for the rest of their life. And for those people to trust me, and for me to trust them, and that's a thing right there. So that's why you
Yeah.
rehearse it, that you know that you can trust this person to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it.
Absolutely. It's their livelihoods are in your hands and vice versa, right? So
Absolutely.
it's the same way.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah, and you've mentioned in the past that Daredevil hallway fight scene. I think it's like
Oh,
either from Daredevil or Punisher. That one, like it's like a one take. Yeah, it's an amazing scene. Where like
brilliant.
the
Beautiful.
camera never really like it's like a single kind of take or a single shot where the camera just kind of follows
Those
it all the way.
Those are the best, man.
It's amazing. Yeah, and I imagine that this elevator one's gonna blow that away though. I'm looking forward to seeing it, TJ.
I mean, we're not all John Wick. Not everybody can be on 8711, but we try over here. We got
Close. Yeah, we
some
try.
people out here in Arizona, baby.
Yeah, no, and I know that your goal is to get into John Wick 5, so maybe this will be what gets you. This is what gets you over that hump, right? The kind of the long
I've already
term
told the
goal.
universe, so we're good there.
Yeah, we're gonna manifest that for you, TJ. That's what we're gonna do. No, that's great. And so you worked on a bunch of projects. You've done not just film, you've also done music videos, and you've done some TV shows. And I want to mention this specifically because again, it's actually really highly reviewed. This dark ops show in particular that I've seen. Like it's really highly touted, highly reviewed. It looks great. The Wicked Panda pilot episode. Caught a couple minutes of that, and I'm like, I just wish that this was more widely distributed. I'll just say that because
Yeah,
it was
so do
hard for me to find it, but like
I hope
people
that
need to see this.
I hope Night Studios is able to sell it. That'd be awesome because then everybody would get to see it. But it's you got to be either on Night Studios or Tego. to see that part. But I'm not even sure if all 5 episodes are out yet. I'm not sure because I was pretty. Last I heard was that
Mhm.
episode 5, the finale, was going to be going through the film festival circuit. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah,
But
well, I know that
but
was
the
that the
last two
panda, the
episodes
Wicked Panda
are
episode in particular. I was like,
phenomenal though. Yeah, I become the lead actor in episode 3. Yeah,
I'm jealous. Yeah,
it's funny
I
too.
wish.
Go
No,
ahead.
I wish that more people could see this, like you said, and you said you become the lead in episode 3. I mean, we need this. This needs to get widely distributed.
Oh, and today, the show that I produced, Red Sands, is now available on Prime. Finally, all 4 episodes. Only it's like I think it's 99 cents an episode, but it will be coming out on Tubi. I'm not sure when, but they keep dropping on all these things. So we're hoping before summer starts, you can see it for free streaming on Tubi. All 4 episodes of the miniseries Red Sands.
Okay.
What lead roll?
We're promoting that right here. We're gonna promote that at the end of this as well.
Bro, I'm so proud of that. Yeah.
You should be. I mean, again, this is Red Sands, and you're the lead role, and you said you produced it, right?
I'm a producer on there, and
That's
was the
awesome.
stunt coordinator. Also was the weapons guy for all that good stuff, the
Oh
armorer.
yeah.
And we have 3 actual actual effects, practical effects, and I came up with all 3 of those. I had never done that before, but I was like, you know what, I want to try. So I went online, did some DIY, and made brain spatter and a couple other spray effects with blood.
Wow. Wow. Now I have to see this show. When we get off this this podcast episode, I'm gonna download. I'm gonna pay for the 99 cents per whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna pay for it all. Red Sands on Prime, the miniseries. Everyone go check that out if you haven't. By the time you hear this, hopefully you've already purchased those episodes and seen it for yourself. If not, go check it out. TJ, again, I will promote that as much as we can. And yeah, I mean, I think again the distribution is the key, right? People,
It's so, yeah.
and I'm sure it's tough to kind of you have to get you have to sell that a
Well,
certain way.
nobody wants to watch a show. None of the big time places are like, oh, you had a $12,000 budget. Okay, whatever. But now with streaming, it's a whole nother ball game now because you put it up on Film Hub, and then people go, oh, whoa, wait a second, we actually want this now. And then because when we first put it on Prime, we got the first episode on there, and then Prime didn't like the second episode and said we're not going to show the rest. And then we put it on Hub, and then they pick it up. I'm like,
yeah, it's like what's
on.
Yeah, that's absurd, TJ. They should put the whole thing on there, man. It's one episode is not enough. And they were waiting for people to finally say like, no, we need to see this. Like it's almost like they're like waiting for the audience to tell them what to put on rather than just embracing the show for the whole series, right? I think there's so much about like just I think filmmaking, TV show making that like I don't know enough about, and I'm thankful that we have you as a resource to kind of talk through if we ever need to. But I will say that it's awesome that you can do these. We'll call them independents, right? I mean, that's what you're doing. Like it's like independent
stuff, yeah.
And my understanding is that the independent like film and TV those studios weren't really as affected by the whole
Well, the only thing that really affected
strikes.
the film was
Yeah,
the fact that they couldn't use SAG actors if it was over a specific budget.
got it.
So as long as their budgets were super, super low, they were able to. That's why I was still able to jump on a lot of independent stuff because a lot of the stuff I work on are no budget. So SAG's like, oh yeah, go ahead and do it, whatever, man.
Go do it.
Work on your. Basically that's what you're doing, and I love it so much that I'm like, okay, cool. Let me read your script. Is your script awesome? Am I going to have fun? You gonna let me do stunts? You gonna let me be the stunt coordinator? I'm gonna get credits for that, and I'm gonna get the clip for my reel. Done. Boom, boom.
Done.
Because getting a reel can cost you a lot. The reels are very expensive to get shot. So if a small production who doesn't have a lot of money, like this last one I worked for, I'm the armorer. I gave them all my movie prop guns to use, and so I'm going to get armorer credit. I did all the stunt coordinating and fight coordinating, and I did all of that stuff for free because I'm trying to establish myself here in Arizona as a stunt coordinator, as a stunt person, as an actor there. So I'm trying to put my name out there to show people what I can do, so maybe I get picked up on bigger projects.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. And speaking of that stunt stuff, the most recent clip, I might be the pinned post on your X profile is you like, it looks like you like get hit by something. It must be like a drone or something. You just completely collapse this behind the scene thing.
Run real quick. My dogs are going to work.
Dogs are going nuts. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, now. Now. Yeah, sorry about that. The next door neighbor was doing something in their backyard, and the back door was open, so my dog's going crazy.
All good, man. No, it's fine. I thought it's all like a behind the
Oh,
scenes
so
clip
no,
on your profile.
that short should be out real soon. And as soon as, and it's cool because we just went on the desert. I met a couple of people from on LinkedIn that were from Phoenix, and they always say, "Hey, you want to shoot something one weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to shoot something one weekend. Of course I do. I'd love to create. Let's do something." And
Yeah.
so we all met and had coffee, and a whole film crew. And then we were like, "All right, not right now," and and then we made it, and we just shot it, and it's under 3 minutes, a micro short,
Yeah.
and so.
That's cool though. I mean, like again, like just if people want to see again just the skill that you have and kind of what you possess and kind of what you bring to the table, they need to go to your profile. It is here on the screen here, but for those who are only listening, it's at TJ Wimbs on X. Make sure you follow this man. He is going places. He has a tremendous, again, he has more talent in his pinky than I'll ever have, especially when it comes to
Whatever.
acting. But no, I mean, one of these days, maybe I'll get into SAG after, but not anytime soon. No, I think
That was
you
Demi Lovato's fault.
that's Demi, exactly. We'll blame Demi. No, but I think it's amazing that you again you've done so much in your life, and I know that we're coming close to time, but I do want to again remind people to not only follow you, but also I think um, hopefully people have like gotten like just a sense. We could go for again hours, and do want to be respectful of your time, TJ. This has been a tremendous conversation, and again, um, as we get closer to wrapping, I want people to just remember that like TJ is one example of the world that exists on social media, right? Like this has been a tremendous conversation. I've learned a lot already, and I've been inspired by TJ. And hopefully, other people hear this and say, "Wait a minute, like, hey, what if maybe I should go take up jujitsu, or maybe I actually want to dip my toe in the world of, you
Why
know,
not?
yeah, I mean, like, stunt work. I mean, stunt work. I mean, like all this stuff. Like you could just decide to kind of like step into and pursue and kind of do the homework and create a reel, like you said, like kind of getting some, working for these independent, studios. I mean, like just do the homework, do the research, put in the work. I mean, you put in the work, and you're an inspiration to me, TJ. I want to say that just perfectly plain and clear. And yeah, before we wrap, I do want to give you a chance to promote what you want to promote and kind of give people any last takeaways that you have, so that way we can kind of again give you the floor.
Yeah, well, I'm just, I once I got over, initial fears of just life itself, I realized that if you want something, just go for it. I mean, I just every time I thought, you know what, I want to know, I really like that, or I really love that thing, and I want to try, and so I put forth everything I can. And if I fail, it's no big deal. I'm good. I'm like, okay, I failed, whatever. Maybe that's not what I was meant to do. But I've had so much fun on the journey of trying all these cool different things that, funny enough, all helped lead me to become an actor. Because all those different types of performances that I've learned how to do have helped me as a stuntman, as an actor, into what I've found is my passion and my dream. So that's like go out there and pursue all kinds of things. Learn as much as you can. Travel the world. Learn about all the other cultures. Because later on in life, it might be the thing that gives you what you've been looking for, your meaning in your job or your career or whatever it is you decide to do. So I
Yeah,
always say go for it. I mean,
I
there's
love
no
that.
there's no excuses, man. Just go. I mean, I was full-time active duty, had a side job, and was going to college and playing college football and doing pro wrestling. Come on, anybody can do it if I can do those things.
There you go, man. That's fantastic. That's great advice. I think I repeat this over and over, but it's worth remembering, and it's worth repeating. It's you either win or you learn,
Learn. That's it.
right? And that's it.
You don't lose because
Mhm.
you learn from those mistakes and it makes you better. And that's why people always go, failure is not an option. Yes, it is. Failure is an option. Failure is the greatest teaching tool there is.
Absolutely.
If my
Absolutely.
thing that I always tell people, if you're the strongest guy in the gym, you're in the wrong gym because you're not learning. You got to move up. You got to keep going, and you got to, what are you whining about? And you got to go for what you want. Apparently, he wants to be on my lap, so he's going for it.
Yeah. Well, we can let that happen in a second. I'll repeat. Yeah, there you go. Cutie little puppy there. A nice dog there. I'll say it again. It's also what you just said is also it's similar to a phrase that I've heard in the past as well, which is that if you find yourself the smartest person in any given room, find yourself a different room, right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
it's a similar thing to what you just said, TJ. And I think it's worth reiterating for those who have heard it before, and if you haven't, hopefully, again, this has been an inspiration and a motivation, and maybe that little kick in the pants that we all can sometimes need. And heck, I could probably use that today, to be perfectly honest. I'll explain it to you offline, TJ, but this has been fantastic. A great conversation. I am grateful for your time tonight. I'll let you get
Thank
back
you.
to that dog. And, and it's, again, this has been phenomenal. And I hope that we can have you on here again sometime in the
Oh,
future.
absolutely, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, TJ.
See you, brother.